Okay, let's take a look at blind and semi-blind contour, or what we sometimes call partial sight contour, and what continuous line is. Blind contour drawing is one of the best ways to develop hand-eye coordination and communication. Hand-eye coordination is the coordinated control of eye movement with hand movements and the brain's processing of visual input to guide your ability to reach and grasp. That's known as proprioception. Proprioception is the perception or awareness of the position and movement of the body. It's part of the mechanisms of performing everyday tasks, and in its absence, most people would be unable to carry out even the simplest of actions, such as picking up a book or playing a video game. It's one of the most integral concepts that we actually use in drawing. Blind contour is known to develop proprioception skills. So let's look at blind contour drawing and its other benefits and what it is and how to do it. Blind contour drawing is helpful in breaking down the stigmas of students who think that they cannot draw. It also helps to break other bad habits of students who tend to draw from their imagination rather than seeing accurately what's in front of them. Remember that in this class, we're actually here to learn to draw accurately. The goal of blind contour drawing is to really see the thing that you're looking at, to almost merge with it spiritually. You don't want to imagine it. You want to really look at it. Our brains are designed to simplify and reduce the tumult of the world into order. Blind drawing trains us to give the time that we need to really observe what it is that we're looking at. You kind of have to think of it as an act of meditation as much as it is an artistic practice. It's kind of a gateway to being a pure being. It forces us to study the world as it actually is and not how we hoped it would be. Part of the magic of blind drawing is the impossibility of doing it wrong. This makes it the perfect antidote to perfectionism because its first and only step is to abandon all hope of perfection. However, you'll notice that if you continue to practice, that you're actually going to, probably by accident, start to produce visually accurate information. And that's because your hand-eye coordination is getting much better. Blind contour drawing is a classic introduction to beginning drawing because it forces your hand and your eye to work in tandem with each other. It's an exercise for most freshmen at art school and any student learning to draw no matter what age. Like any exercise, practice is key to being able to attain hand-eye skills. The more you do it, the better you get. Blind contour drawing means drawing the object without looking at the paper or the actual drawing. Remember that we're trying to create hand-eye coordination, so the end result does not matter. What's important is that you give yourself the time to carefully observe the edges and detail of the object that you're drawing, and that you get your hand to move at the same rate as your eye. There are several ways to hide your drawing while you do your blind contours, and here are a few. You can see the paper plate and the bag. I personally like the bag method. Continuous blind contour simply means that you do not pick up your pencil or pen at any time. So here you can see the starting line was here, and if you go with this line all the way through, you follow, you'll notice that it never breaks. It just stays as one line all the way through here to the finish line. When doing a continuous blind contour, and that's what we will be doing, you want to follow these guidelines. You first want to get your supplies ready. You need paper, a drawing implement, objects that you want to draw. I suggest using marker because it avoids the temptation to erase. If your drawing is on loose paper and it's moving around, you may need to tape it into place also. You want to determine how you're going to hide your drawing. I suggest the bag method or the plate, just because those have worked in the past really well with my classes. You want to determine a plan and a starting point for how you will follow the edges of the still life object before you start the drawing. Then determine a starting point on your paper which takes into account the size of the object that you're drawing. You don't want to run off of the paper if you can keep from it. Avoid lifting the drawing implement from the paper as you draw. Now that's the hardest thing to do, truthfully, but you really need to avoid lifting. Lastly, don't take your drawing implement off the paper once you start the drawing. The line must be as continuous as possible. If you do lift your pen, just immediately put it down anywhere, because remember, your drawing doesn't matter. It matters that you continue and that you give yourself the opportunity. As you draw, you want to use your non-drawing hand's index finger to follow or trace the edges of your object as your drawing hand draws at the same pace. And that's only if you feel like you're not catching on. I only have people do that when they're really having trouble with their blind contour. But it's a good practice to do. If you lose your place, just keep going. Don't look until you've completed every edge on the image. Don't peek. It's not about getting a realistic drawing. It's about hand-eye coordination. And most of all, take your time as you go. Try to capture all the little details along the way. So even here, where this is. So of these two drawings, can you tell which one's completely blind and continuous? For the most part. There's a few places where it got lost and they just put their pen back down and went again. This is actually not a blind contour. This is actually a semi-blind contour. And this is more of a blind contour. And for the most part, it's pretty continuous as you go through here. Here's where they got lost. Start it again. One of the exercises that I like to have my students do is to draw their hand while holding a toy or an object in their hand. You do want to be able to see what the object is, somewhat. It doesn't have to be completely open, but you want to grasp it and you want to be able to tell basically what it is. Place the pencil near the bottom of the page and then looking at the edge of the wrist, begin to follow the line going very slowly and steadily. Try to make your pencil follow every slight curve and bump. When you get to a crease, follow it in and then back out to the side and carry on. Don't rush. Concentrate on observing every little detail. When you've gone all around the hand and toy, stop and look at the end results. It might look funny, but you might notice that there's some amazingly accurate results also. Some areas may be out of proportion with each other, but you'll notice that some parts are far better than you expected them to be. The more practice, the better you get, and your hand will naturally coordinate with your eye. So you can kind of look at these examples and hopefully you'd be able to tell what they are. Once you finish your drawing, you can actually assess your own abilities. You can check to see if you're successful. If the drawn image is smaller than your actual object is, that means that your eye is going faster than your pencil, and you need to slow down the eye and speed up your hand just a little bit. If the drawn object is larger than your object, it means that the opposite is occurring, and you need to slow down your hand and speed up your eye. Once you finish and assess your abilities, try a partial sight contour. You'll do it primarily blind, but you can check and recheck where you are if you lose your way and you want to see where you are. You will be surprised how much more accurate you are when you look occasionally. Good luck!